So whose car is this?
It's my car.
Really?
Yeah.
As of when?
I bought it in like Feb or March.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It's I have a Tesla. I have 2 Teslas in this car.
Which Tesla?
I have the Model 3 Performance and the Model Y Performance.
The new one or the old one?
They're both 2022.
Okay. Because we have the Y from 24.
Yeah.
They stopped making them. The new one is amazing.
The new Y, what do you like about it?
The new Y, the self-driving. There's a bunch of new hardware. It's unbelievable.
You're saying I don't have the hardware in a 2022?
Yeah. So we're thinking about getting the self-driving package.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be as good as the new one. The new one's insane.
We did self-driving from New York to Providence for Amanda's like 10-year. This was like in 2024.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it.
I think it's getting better.
I've heard it's amazing.
You also might be a control freak.
I am definitely a control freak. I also am like, if I'm going to die driving, I want it to be because of my fuck up, not a fucking computer.
Right, exactly.
And I also enjoy driving, so I just don't really...
People's tolerance for computers making mistakes is very low.
Yeah.
But it turns out humans are really bad drivers. Like, I don't know, something like 50,000 people die a year crashing cars.
Yeah, that's true. But you have to be Bayesian. Like, human... Like people say, like, starting a company is hard. It's like the failure rates are high, but if you actually like keep cutting that to like people with past success, the failure, I think the rates get a lot better. And same with driving, like.
Oh, good drivers die less?
Yeah. Good drivers die less.
Second-time drivers.
Second-time drivers.
I think we're gonna look back and at some amount of time, like I've got a 1.5-year-old.
Yeah.
You've got a 1.5-year-old. You think
one? One, just past one.
Yeah. You think she's gonna learn how to drive?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Like I actually don't. Turns out I don't know how to ride a horse.
Yeah.
Or stick shift.
Yeah.
I think that driving will be around for fun.
Yeah.
And you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think other people are just gonna be at some point we're gonna hit to an inflection point where it's like I think it's already much safer to get into a driverless vehicle than it is to get into a human car. So
yeah.
I'm taking a pretty big risk here. But at some point people will just I'm very brave. At some point people are just gonna I think the norm will be getting a driverless car. It'll be much, much safer.
So let's imagine this future, because our kids, I agree, are probably not going to learn to drive.
Yeah.
But there will be people who are like, I really want to drive my vintage 2026 Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
And like, will they learn specially to hand drive a car?
Yeah.
And will they be allowed on the roads with autonomous cars?
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah, but like I feel like if the majority of people are driving autonomously,
yeah,
and with like human drivers, at some point they're going to be like, okay, human drivers, you're just fucking the whole thing up. Like, if it's automated, we can convoy, it's safer, and we don't want humans in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So a couple of things. I mean, for sure, hobbyists are going to be driving, but it won't be necessarily be like for fun. I mean, there's still people out there that like. I don't know, there's woodworkers in the world and there's artisans and there's carpenters. Like, you can do that thing and we still let people sit on those chairs.
Yeah.
I think that, I think as long as, what they might do is mandate like this car has to have sensors. Or it might be like a certain class of car to still be able to do things like convoy and like if you're in a driverless car, human driver in front of you, driverless car in front of them, at least they're like able to speak to each other and identify distance.
Okay.
Where you shouldn't be able to mess too many things up.
Okay.
But yeah, there could another idea that just came to me is there could be a world where there's maybe like there's a carpool lane, there could be a human driving lane, and it's like the most inefficient lane, and then stupid humans can drive in that one. But yeah, I do think, on the whole, hard to imagine a world where people aren't, most humans are not in driverless cars.
You made me realize something just now. Like, my take on this is eventually humans will be kicked off the road. It'll be exactly as you say. It'll be like there'll be a mix. Then humans get certain lanes.
Right.
And then it's like, that lane will be a funny lane to look at, by the way.
Yeah.
It'll be like all the nicest cars.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And by the way, that'll be where all the people die. In that lane.
Yeah.
And then you're totally right where it's also a generational thing where like people would throw their hands up if that existed today.
Yeah.
But like in our kids' generation where they
Yeah.
grew up not driving,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, it's like smoking. Like, why are we letting people recklessly get in these death machines? It's kind of scary. Like, we give kids cars at 15 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, we're going to look back and be like, that was a bad idea.
Would you rather give your kids a car or a gun?
Um,
What's safer?
A car.
Yeah.
Guns are pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that you're making that analogy is representative.
Yeah. Okay.
Cars kill more people
For sure.
than guns do.
For sure. For sure.
But people also don't take their guns to work every day.
The use, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So it's like basically if you want, this is actually a great reason for me to buy more fancy cars. Because like the days of driving are numbered.
Yeah, you're in the glory days. This is the swan song of human driving.
You know what's a great proxy for everything you're saying? The demise of the manual transmission. Are you familiar with this at all?
A little.
Basically, everyone used to drive manual. Now, like, nobody drives manual.
I don't know how to.
You don't know how to drive manual. And there's just not that many
I think
people.
you know how to.
I know how to.
You're doing it right now.
I think I know how
Yeah,
to. But most of the things I do, I don't really know how to do. You know?
Well, that's exactly right. And
Yeah.
you sort of would look back and, again, available for hobbyists.
Yeah.
Probably less safe, right? I don't know.
I had my eyes on a Ferrari, and I'm going to show this to Amanda. Just be like, well, so let's get serious. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's get the.
I thought the show was about cars.
That's true. But it's also about capitalists, and I have an amazing capitalist here.
Okay.
Perhaps the best capitalist. And can you just? I just want to get all the like meaty stuff out of the way first.
Sure.
And you run this incredible company called Forage. It's like Stripe for food stamps. Can you just tell us about it?
Yeah. Do you want the short version? Do you want the long version?
I want whatever version you want to give. Usually short is better.
Okay.
Short things make better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bad at short things.
Oh, then do you think you pitched?
Yeah. So I'd say. So my background is in payments product management.
Yeah.
I worked at two very large internet marketplaces.
Yeah.
Uber and Instacart.
Yeah.
I was the head of payments at Instacart during the pandemic.
Oh wow.
That year, in 2020, the business quintupled from 7 billion to 35 billion in GMV.
Wow.
Everybody was getting their groceries delivered to their home.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we grew that year was by enabling 42 million low-income Americans to spend their EBT benefits at Instacart. And so it was a sort of a problem I experienced firsthand. Grew the product to a multi-billion-dollar business at Instacart, over 10% of the entire company.
Wow.
And what had been up until that point was used to working with the best payments companies in the world. So at Uber and Instacart, I worked with folks like Stripe, like Lavian, Braintree, PayPal, Checkout.com, and none of them had an EBT product. And so in 2020, I found myself going back a few decades and using a super outdated legacy tech. The solution we used was called Fiserv. In fact, it's the same sort of reason why the Collison brothers started Stripe. Is like, turns out this technology takes forever to integrate, doesn't work all the time, is not super high performing, and it had a ton of issues. And so, after unsuccessfully convincing the best payments companies in the world to go build it, and unsuccessfully convincing the one legacy payments company that had built a solution here, we started Forage as a modern alternative.
Wow. So I want to make sure I'm like nailing in on exactly the problem you found.
Yeah.
So you're at Instacart.
Yeah.
EBT payments as a category are growing. How do you even accept EBT payments at Instacart? Because it's not like accepting cash, right? So like, what are the mechanics of that?
Yeah. So this is where I'd love to maybe with your permission, wind back the clock 100 years and
Oh
just
my God.
talk a little bit about the history of the American welfare program and with food stamps specifically.
That sounds amazing.
And then we can get into sort of modern day, because I
Yeah.
think this all requires a lot of context. But
Yeah.
the American food stamp program has existed for nearly a century.
Okay.
Starting with, it was a Great Depression era welfare program
Yeah.
that was meant to solve two problems simultaneously. So in the 1930s, FDR's president, unemployment peaks to north of 25%. 1 in 4 Americans doesn't have a job despite looking for one or wanting one. And up until this point, in the 19th century, the American economy is a agriculture-based economy, agrarian. It was the American farmers, ranchers, producers that were really the sort of strength of the American economy. When there's fewer people working, they have less money, they're buying less goods, and so actually this started out as a way to sort of like solve a two-sided problem, which is you look to all the American producers and you say, hey guys, keep producing, keep farming, keep giving American people corn and soy and cattle and poultry and hungry mouths. Do not worry, we will give you, at the time, physical paper coupons to go and buy those things. And they came in little physical paper coupons. They were blue and orange. They said things like, have some orange, have some milk, have eggs, etc. And essentially solved one of our most important problems, which is how do you sort of reinforce the American agricultural economy while solving our unemployment and hunger problem.
Can I just make sure I understand that, because my brain doesn't work as fast when I'm driving and talking.
Yeah.
So it's the Great Depression. 1 in 4 people is unemployed.
Yes.
A large part of the economy is like agrarian.
Yes.
And these booklets come out, and you can redeem like coupons in the booklets for food.
Yes.
Okay. And who is getting them? And where do you redeem them?
Yeah, great question. It started out first as a federal program.
Yeah.
Individuals have to apply and qualify for them.
Okay.
So if you were unemployed, instead of just giving you cash,
Yeah.
you would instead be given, hey, here's a booklet here, go and get these like actual goods. And it was a way to essentially support the American economy while solving like a massive humanitarian problem.
And would you get these goods from like a government store?
An agency. So you go to an agency,
Got
you
it.
apply, they confirm that you're below a certain income threshold or currently unemployed
Yeah.
or currently looking for work.
Got it.
And they would say, you qualify, we're going to give you, while you continue looking for work, we're going to give you milk and bread and eggs.
I see.
And since then, it has been, for the past 100 years, one of the great American programs that has modernized and has received bipartisan support for a century, which is both sort of, blue states and red states have their own various reasons for wanting to continue supporting the program, which is, it's on the one hand nutrition and solves a problem for low-income Americans, but also solves a really big problem for farmers and ranchers. I think one of the most interesting stats that I've ever seen in this space.
Just making sure your thing is fully plugged in, because this is really amazing content. Oh shit, hold on. Okay, go.
Are we good?
We're good, yep.
One of my favorite stats is that I think people have a misconception that the EBT program, which is now like $100 billion a year, it's a massive part of our economy, is a handout or a dollar that is taken from taxpayers and given to people and disappears in the ether. The reality is there's been a study performed, multiple studies. Turns out for every dollar being given in EBT funding, it actually generates $1.79 in economic activity. So it's actually an investment. So let's kind of follow the chain of where that might go, right? That dollar that's being given to an individual then goes and might be used at a store, right? So that store employs people. That store is a business, it makes money. They have suppliers, so it might then go from a Walmart to a General Mills, who's creating goods. They then have underlying producers that they work with. That ultimately goes back to American farmers and ranchers, and so it might look like you're giving $1 to a low-income person, but actually you're using it to support Main Street America grocery. You're using it to support cashiers and baggers at stores. You're using it to support our CPG companies, and ultimately it's things that our American farmers are being able to continue supporting, which is the corn and the wheat and the milk and the eggs that all end up being produced into goods that we might buy at a grocery store, like cereal. And so it's one of the greatest economic engines, actually. The U.S. economy, if we didn't have this, we would be finding other ways to subsidize farmers. In fact, it's one of the most heavily subsidized parts of the economy today. Famously, we support a ton of subsidies for American farmers and producers. And so you were asking about modernization.
Can I just ask a question about what you said?
Yeah, totally.
This is really interesting. You're basically saying this is like an incredibly efficient form of GDP stimulus. You put $1 in and $1.70 comes out. That's nuts. Like 70% return.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. And it makes sense, right? I mean, you're talking about.
It makes sense because it's like if you buy the agricultural product, then the whole value chain in America that created this product exists.
Right. I mean, this podcast is called Cars and Capitalists.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, that's one of the main principles of capitalism is like, if you give people more demand, it allows people to build more supply and so on and so forth. If we took away the program, people would be buying $100 billion less of food. We'd have fewer people working in grocery stores. We might have fewer grocery stores. We might have fewer CPG companies. We might have smaller American agricultural industry as a result. And so
I think I'm just remarking on that 70%. That feels like a really high return.
Totally.
And it seems like if you were to think about like every category that the government invests dollars in, that could be the highest.
It's amongst the highest. So there's
aside from like R&D and like basic science, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think investments in education are probably amongst the highest ROI. I think there's a lot of things you need to look at, but this is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is like the most primal, basic necessity. I think it's a human right. Like people shouldn't go hungry. We live in the most prosperous civilization in the history of humanity. Like everyone here should be able to eat.
And something that people in our families didn't always have.
100%. My dad grew up on welfare, and credits the fact that he didn't have to worry about where his next meal was from, so he could go and spend his days at a library reading and learning and educating. And my dad's the first person in his family to get a college education, get a graduate degree. And there's a study we did with a Harvard professor named Roland Fryer. We looked at we did a study on socioeconomic decile of where you were in the socioeconomic hierarchy, and turns out that the average dollar amount in SNAP benefits compared to the average cost of a meal in that zip code had a really high relationship with socioeconomic mobility. So let me say it again in a different way. The average EBT benefit gives people an average of $6 a day to eat. In a place like Manhattan, $6 doesn't go very far. In other parts of the country, $6 goes a little further. Turns out there's a direct relationship with the more food that is paid for by the government, actually the higher socioeconomic mobility you'll have between a parent and child. And sort of to take that analysis one click deeper, it suggests that if a kid doesn't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they have time to go and be a part of the chess club and play tennis and spend time at the library or be a kid and be outside. But if kids are going hungry, they don't perform as well in the classroom. They have lower graduation rates. And so, in general, I think no child should go hungry in America in 2026. It's the, again, most prosperous civilization in human history. And I think we will actually be better off as a nation. It's like better off for education, for our economy, for our defense, for our long-term success as a country, if everybody had the ability to go to sleep hungry and have their mouth fed the day after, and can instead worry about solving sort of the next generation of problems in this country.
This is actually having worked in healthcare, and we'll come back to the history of EBT. By the way, EBT stands for electronic benefit transfer. Okay. It's like, what I eat is actually something I would be willing to give to a benevolent AI essential plan. Like Americans do not eat well. If you just gave up that decision and you could only buy like certain approved items with your EBT card, you would get better health outcomes. And Americans wouldn't go for that, but like, fun thing to think about. Okay, so
I feel like AI would just make us all eat like Soylent or like some sort of like slop with nutrition. But This is one of
Not
those.
a benevolent AI, not Dario's AI.
Right. This is like one of the most heavily debated things in the country right now in the nutrition space is actually like what can you buy with EBT? Historically, you could just buy food, so meat, produce, seafood, vegetables. You can't buy toothpaste. You can't buy toilet paper. Do you want to take a guess at what the number one most bought item by EBT families that's not EBT eligible is?
I don't know, tell me.
Diapers.
Okay, so this is quite interesting because in my Medicare world,
Yeah.
a lot of the things you're talking about are covered by the Medicare plan. Like toothpaste, toilet paper, Tylenol, and there are these like, I think EBT or EBT-like mechanisms, like where you know, the plan will give the patient a stipend, and there are like all these companies that
Right.
like run the logic of what transactions are approved, what can you buy with this card.
Yeah.
So that's like adjacent.
Yeah. So at its core, that's kind of what Forage does.
Okay.
So we take restricted benefits like
Yeah.
EBT,
Yeah.
which, you know, at their best, they're meant to buy nutritious, healthy, affordable food.
Yeah.
You know, ideally, like, no one wants that to be spent on you know, cigarettes or alcohol, like that. That's sort of existential for our partners. It's existential for the integrity of the program.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out there's all sorts of like other essentials that are not bought, like diapers, like toothpaste, like toilet paper. And I think at its most controversial now, just to get a little more topical, is like people are asking, well, should you be able to buy soda, or should you be able to buy candy or snacks? And so there's now like over 18 states that are litigating this right now and saying, actually, like, if you want to buy that stuff, do it with your own dollars. But the U.S. government's only gonna let you have like this category of things. And what's happening is we're getting essentially like increased complexity around the more restrictions, the more complexity, the new stocking standards, what you can actually buy. And I think it's a good conversation to have. Like, I think we should be incentivizing people to buy healthy, affordable food. I don't think it's that controversial that people should be able to eat, you know, milk, bread, eggs, essentials. There are some things that are maybe more controversial, like orange juice. But it also is taking away choice from people and is saying basically like, hey, you can be obese and make bad food decisions if you're above the bottom decile of earners in America. And so we're going to be a nanny state and tell you what you can eat or not, which is funny for a lot of people that are like more right-leaning. The ideology there is actually more like you should actually have your government out of your life, and in this case maybe out of your kitchen or fridge, and give you free choice. But you know, if you're above the bottom decile of earners, you can go and buy terrible food for you and shop at McDonald's.
I mean, I have a take on this, which is just
let's hear it.
Well, it's just like, so I ran this Medicare brokerage, tech-enabled Medicare brokerage called FairSquare, and I just noticed that like basically everyone who like works with us, and they're like on the more affluent side, had either like some form of metabolic disorder that manifested as like high blood pressure or like something on the path of diabetes. And these are all a function of like what you eat. And in most extreme cases, lower income populations like have more diabetes. And the idea that it's like you can basically buy a soda on the government's dime to poison yourself, and then on the government's dime treat yourself. It's like, no, you just can't buy a soda. That would be my take.
I think we have a nationwide crisis, right? Like, so clearly, the number of people that are dying due to heart disease, cardiovascular issues, turns out a lot of like really terrible diseases are linked to obesity, and your body weight and BMI, et cetera. And so I think that's a crisis. I think there's also a separate crisis, which is there's a hunger crisis in America, and then it's sort of like the conflation of these two separate crises is what we're seeing here, and ultimately I think we need to solve them both, right? Like, ideally no one should go hungry. Ideally people shouldn't be poisoning themselves, and then somewhere in there, there's free will and free choice, and the ability to make your own decisions. But it is the U.S. is spending more money treating a sick population than any other country on Earth, and ultimately, it's actually a drag on. It is a taxpayers are then paying for Medicare and Medicaid as well, and so it is bad for society. It's bad for the individuals, but it's also bad for government efficiency if you end up having a population that requires a lot of intervention late in life as opposed to sort of prevention earlier in life.
Is there a hunger crisis in the United States? Like I kind of assume is there one?
Yeah, I mean
Can you characterize that?
Yeah. I mean, and I think it might be like. So
because I'm kind of like in the United States, like the people with money are pretty fit and eating great food, and the people without a lot of money are eating at McDonald's. But
turns out healthy food is expensive.
Yeah.
Bad food is cheap.
Yeah. But it's not like my sense was like no one's going hungry though.
Yeah, people definitely are. I mean, so just so you know, I mean there are. Food pantries in America are in a crisis. So it used to be that you could go to most, low-income neighborhoods, and there's a service there that would give you, food if you needed it, soup kitchens, etc. I'm a part of the Marin San Francisco Marin Food Bank. Uh-huh. I have gotten more concerning emails from them in the past year than I ever have before, in terms of them constantly running out of food.
Wow.
I think this is interestingly like a characterization of the kind of thing that I would experience when I started pitching Forage to VCs. Uh-huh. Is like you go to Sand Hill Road and you go to people that, just have a lot of money, and they're like, but who needs EBT, or like who has this problem? There's no hungry people in America, and it's kind of like, it is if you don't come from those zip codes and don't come from those parts of the country. And by the way, like 1 in 3 EBT SNAP recipients, or 17 million people that are on EBT, like actually live in rural parts of America. And so increasingly, I think we live in a world of like haves and have-nots, where there is extreme wealth here, but there's also like extreme poverty and a lot of people that aren't able to buy food. We talk to grocers all the time, and some things we hear from dollar stores is that they tell us their biggest competitors are actually food banks, because somebody with limited dollars has limited options of where they can buy food, and increasingly those dollar stores are actually stocking more and more groceries, and people are going to more and more competitively priced places like Walmart, like Family Dollar, like Dollar General, to make every dollar stretch further. And in this country, do you want to take a guess which retailer has more locations than any other in America?
Is it Dollar General?
Yeah, Dollar General. There's more Dollar Generals than any other in America.
Wow.
And so it's like, it's hard to look at those stats and say there's 22,000 Dollar Generals that are catering to people that are often, food insecure, stretch for dollars, and say that we don't have a problem when turns out it's the most popular grocery store in America.
Huh. Can we go back to, so you're at Instacart.
Yes.
How do you actually, like from a technical perspective, accept an EBT payment?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to give you long answers. And so
this is great.
So
also, is this the right path? Because we took
a
fork.
No.
History.
This is great. So
great.
Sort of like continuing on that journey, it's sort of paper, physical stamp coupons.
Yeah.
They get modernized in the 80s.
Okay.
They no longer are physical stamps. They move on to cards called EBT cards. They look like a debit or credit card. It's a piece of plastic. It's got a 16-digit number. It's issued by the state of Iowa or California, where it's called CalFresh, or these other programs. Okay. These dollars are allocated by Congress, $100 billion a year, distributed to states proportionally based on the number of people that meet the criteria.
Yeah.
And grocery stores start accepting them at payment terminals in store. 40 years go by.
Are these government stores or grocery stores?
No, grocery stores.
So this is to me, there's a key transition here.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be like a government store accepting a coupon.
Yeah.
But if the transition then to go to any grocery store chain and be like, hey, treat this as cash.
Exactly. It's a tender type. It becomes a tender type loaded on a payment mechanism called an EBT card, which functionally looks like a credit card or debit card, but it acts like a closed wallet card, meaning these dollars aren't good anywhere. You can't go to a restaurant and use them. You can't go to Best Buy and use them, but you can go to a grocery store and use them to buy certain items. So it's a closed loop card.
In the 80s?
Even in the 80s.
In the 80s, they had like
restrictions
to buy certain items. So paint me a picture. So like 80s grocery store, it's running on like cutting edge SAP ERP thing, right?
Yeah.
And there is like some government car,
so you get a subtotal.
Yep.
You ring up all your items at the grocery store, and your grocery bill is $50.
Yep.
And they tell you, I'm sorry, but this beer and toilet paper and toothpaste is not EBT eligible. Everything else is EBT eligible. So you've got $30 of EBT eligible, which you can use with your EBT cards, and $20 which you can use with cash or credit card or debit card or whatever else. And that's honestly the origination for why they call the program the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It often doesn't cover the entire budget for someone's food for the month. In fact, we actually in our data see that by the sort of second half of every month, EBT volume goes off a cliff because people have spent their EBT benefits in the first 2 weeks of every month. By weeks 3 and 4, there's none left.
So again, going back, by the way, when do you have a hard stop or when do you have to be home?
I should be home. What time is it now?
12:18.
12:18. I should be home. I've got a meeting at 1:30.
If I get you home by 1:15, is
that
too late?
That's great.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So
this is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it.
This is so awesome.
Yeah. So in this 1980s paradigm, when does the money like leave government coffers and go into grocery store bank accounts?
Yeah. So dollars are allocated federally, right?
Yeah.
Congress passes bills every 5 or 6 years called the Farm Bill.
Yeah.
They saw it's sort of like then the U.S. Department of Agriculture works with each state. These states then get dispersed funds, and those states then distribute cards to individuals, and then each month dollars are loaded on those cards. So today, the average family of 4 gets $700 a month in EBT benefits that the U.S. government through states, through program managers, through issuers are then pushing those dollars from the sort of federal budget down to the individual level. They function like reloadable gift cards. Where every month you get a dollar amount. It can only be spent in certain places. Like when you have $10 on your Starbucks gift card, you can only spend it at Starbucks. This similarly is, X dollar amount. You can only spend it at certain stores for certain things. These payment methods go on to be spent in grocery stores for 40 years at point of sale. And during an Obama era Farm Bill, so passed in 2014, that Congress decided, hey, we're going to modernize these payments. Really, there's this burgeoning part of the economy called the internet. People are increasingly going to go buy things online. The company that I worked for and I'm proud of to have spent time there, Instacart, it gets founded in 2012. People are buying groceries online. In 2016, the USDA puts out a document called the RFV, the Request for Volunteers, where they are talking to different grocers and payment processors about, hey, we want to pilot this. The initial pilot runs with Amazon, with Walmart, and then I was there leading the initiative with Instacart. And we were amongst the first platforms to accept these EBT cards online and really sort of modernize the industry. And today, 6 years later, EBT dollars online are roughly at the same percentage of all groceries online. So roughly 15% of all EBT dollars are spent online. And so sort of in 6 years, EBT benefits were modernized at the same pace as sort of like the overall internet for food over a 15-year time period. And I'll just continue overwhelming you with statistics. I get asked often, like, why would somebody go and use EBT online? Like, why does that even make sense? Aren't groceries more expensive online? They're paying for delivery fee, et cetera. And turns out there's sort of two ways to think about this. One is really understanding the consumer and the demographic, which is, as I mentioned, 1 in 3 live in a rural neighborhood. Most of them live in food deserts, meaning the nearest grocery store might be 10 or 20 miles away. 1 in 5 are disabled, so it's physically harder to go to the grocery store. Much lower ownership of personal vehicles. I've interviewed hundreds of EBT recipients, if not thousands now, and we often hear about sort of the canonical example of somebody having to take multiple buses to go to the grocery store. And then lastly, a lot of these individuals are working, right? Low income doesn't mean no income. They might be driving for Uber or dashing for DoorDash, and so an hour or two spent hopping between 2 buses and going to the grocery store is an hour or two of income lost where they might not be earning. And so we just see like a really high fit, and this is a population that actually calculates dollars and cents, like what is the delivery fee compared to how much am I going to spend in gas to get to the grocery store. And the retailers that win are those that often waive delivery fees, have competitive prices in stores. Like we see a really high percentage of EBT dollars going disproportionately to places like Dollar General, like Family Dollar, like Walmart, like Aldi, that are really competitive and can actually get people cheap, affordable, healthy groceries more effectively than going to the grocery store yourself.
So what was you mentioned when you were at Instagram, there was like
Instacart.
Sorry, different companies, but both Insta. When you were at Instacart, there was a specific, like, it seemed like technical problem that you saw.
Yeah.
That was only solved by Fiserv, and now you built Forage to fix. What was that issue?
Yeah, I mean, so turns out payments, like the effectiveness of a payment processor is really easy to measure. Like, what is the uptime, right? Like, what are the minutes in the month that you can hit the API and successfully get a response back? You know, for every minute that it's down, grocers are losing millions of dollars.
Wow.
What is the latency? So how long does it take for a transaction to succeed? What is the checkout conversion? So why are their payment methods failing? And how long did it take to integrate? And like across every dimension, the solution built by Fiserv for EBT had like underperformed by multiple orders of magnitude what I was used to seeing at modern payment providers like Stripe. And so we saw like 1 in 20 transactions would fail because we couldn't hit their API.
5%?
Yes.
Hold on. So this EBT business that you 4x during COVID to like, what was it, 32 billion in GMV?
Sorry. So the overall company quintupled, went from 7 to 35.
Yeah.
One of the ways we did that
Yeah.
was delivering a multi-billion dollars in EBT volume.
And all that was going through Fiserv.
Yeah.
Where 5% of the transactions failed?
Yes.
Because of downtime?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So this was like a very known problem.
It was a screaming obvious problem.
Wow. It's like, how do we grow volume of this business by 5%? Get a different payment processor.
Exactly. And it got to the point where like, hey, listen, grocery is like super thin margin, low margin. Like
that makes a huge difference.
Getting a grocery to pay for anything is hard.
Yeah.
But we were having grocers be like, guys, like we'll pay anything, just please make this work. Because every time it's down, we're losing millions of dollars.
And so the other payment processors are like Visa and MasterCard. Like, is that fair?
Those are networks.
Networks, okay. So
those are payments networks.
What are the best known payment processors?
So I'll sort of just take a step back and say like, the same experience I happen to see firsthand at Instacart in 2020 is like the same thing that Collison Brothers saw when they were trying to sell things on the internet in 2009. And it was like this doesn't work all the time, and this is really slow, and this is hard to integrate. And so turns out just 11 years later, I was having the same problem. And so I sort of like went and asked the people that had solved this problem already, like just go build this product. At the time, Stripe puts out an annual report that payments nerds like me read every year. At the time, they were doing $600 billion in payments volume. Instacart was doing over 30 billions of that volume. So like for a business that had 10 million customers, we were doing 5% of their entire business, and like we were probably a top 3 to 5 customer, and they wouldn't build it for us. And so I was like, if Stripe's not going to build this, no one is going to go build this, and so I'm going to go build it myself. But yeah, the payment processors that I would have thought would have solved this, the best in the world are Stripe, they're Adyen, Chase Payment Tech is great, Checkout.com is great. I mean, there's $1 trillion of market cap that have been built over the last decade and a half of businesses that have modernized payments.
Can we just start with can we do a refresher of the Stripe story?
Sure.
Like what was, like the world before Stripe, there like I could buy stuff on Amazon.com.
Yeah.
But I guess when I was going to like smaller websites, there was always a janky checkout flow. Like what exactly was the Stripe innovation?
Yeah, the Stripe innovation it is primarily making it easier to accept payments online. So it turns out, I mean, like we talked about supply and demand.
Yeah.
When you lower the barrier to start a company,
Yeah.
more people start companies,
Yeah.
they took one of the problems, right? If anytime you start a company, you need to sell things online. They solved the problem that everyone was having, and like actually helped create an entire like sector in the economy, making it really easy for people to start businesses and accept payments online. By doing that, they, like any good payments company, innovated on, world-class billing, fraud prevention, invoicing, platform management, payouts. So, all the sort of things that come with it, reliability, checkout conversion, and got really great. But initially, the sort of insight was Patrick and John Collison want to start a business. They're trying to sell something on the internet. And they sort of obsess over, like, why is it so damn hard to start accepting money over the internet, which was the sort of breakthrough that got them to Stripe. And thanks to Stripe, there's now tens of millions of companies around the world that are accepting payments in 10 lines of code or less.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. And if I recall, I think a big, like Stripe is extremely dev friendly, like a couple of lines and now you're accepting payments.
That's right.
Whereas before you probably need to like call up incumbent payment processors.
That's right.
Okay. Cool. So you basically have the Stripe moment. And like, what is Fiserv? Why aren't they getting their shit together? Like,
Fiserv is a I mean, they're doing trillions of dollars of payments volume. They're a big.
Do they do all like government related payments?
No, they do payments in general. So many grocery stores, many retailers.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing it for a long time, and I mean, listen, if you go to Milwaukee, you'll go watch basketball games at the Fiserv Forum. Like, they are a big company.
Yeah.
They are the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah.
This was just EBT relative to the rest of their business was a very, very small percentage of their whole business, and just hadn't prioritized it. And so, like I said, I was unsuccessful in convincing.
Why didn't the Stripe want to do it?
I've thought a lot about this, and honestly, I've bet my career on this question.
Yeah.
So it turns out and it was the number one question I was getting from investors when I went and pitched Forage, is like, this is so obvious. Stripe is going to do this, right? They're going to kill you.
Two questions.
Right.
Who needs food stamps?
Right.
And second, why does Stripe do it? Yeah.
Exactly. Like, why Stripe is just going to do this.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned earlier, Stripe's got tens of millions of customers. You could sell anything anywhere in the world, right? Whether you're a, I don't know, company in Vietnam or Cambodia or in the US. EBT is a US specific, so geo-specific, sector-specific problem, and turns out the types of products that Stripe builds are for horizontals. So like Stripe Atlas, anyone can start a company anywhere. Stripe Radar, anyone can prevent fraud anywhere. Stripe Billing, Stripe for EBT. Turns out like a very, very, very small percentage of their customers would be able to use this. It's only if you're in a US-based, grocery store selling food. And so for verticals, Stripe partners, and so they partner with a firm. They partner with. They used to partner with PayPal. I don't know if they still do. They partner with Ideal in the Netherlands for novel payment methods, and so someday we'll partner with Stripe. Today we partner with Adyen. We partner with Toast. We partner with Shopify. I mean, we partner with some of the best payments companies in the world, and that's it. It is very rational for a business like Stripe to say, "Hey, we think this is interesting, but unfortunately, like if 99% of our customers can't benefit from this, we're going to go build things that 99% of our customers can use."
Sure. So you have this realization. You're like, okay, Stripe's not going to do this. I should go build Stripe for EBT. What does that mean? How do you do that? Like, how do you start a payment processor? What is the protocol like?
Yeah, so you got to integrate with the state systems. So each state selects an issuer. So you got to go do the long slog of integrating with these closed loop systems that each individual state of Arkansas and Montana and Louisiana are using on the back end to accept payments. It's all ISO 8583, sort of like payments APIs that we have to integrate on the back end. So deep payments infrastructure. There's also regulatory processes that we have to go through. We get approval with the USDA. We're the only private company in the world, by the way, that was actually successfully gone through the approval with the USDA. It was a multi-year process to ensure that we handle PIN encryption correctly, that we handle fraud correctly, that we aren't allowing things like alcohol or cigarettes to be bought on our platform and our technology. Nobody in the USDA is getting promoted to approve more EBT payments processors. People are getting fired if someone is abusing the system, and so just like an extremely high bar for passing regulatory approval. And so to bifurcate, those are sort of the two things that we had to go do: is solve the regulatory and compliance problems and solve this extremely novel deep payments infrastructure problem.
And what percent of EBT payments in the United States do you guys currently process?
We're in the very early innings. We're
Okay.
at like the low single digits.
So that's a lot. Even 1% is a lot.
Yeah.
What and how do you guys make money?
Like any payments company, we charge fees to merchants.
Yep.
So consumers use our product for free.
Yep.
Merchants pay a small fee, just like they would for any credit card, debit card, any payment method.
Yeah.
We take a small rate from there, and so we're. I view this sort of as a win-win-win, right?
Yeah.
If Forage wins, more Americans will have more access to buy more food
Yeah.
in store and online.
Yeah.
By the way, like extremely low cost, because
Yeah.
in order to win that consumer, you got to offer things like free delivery and discounted goods. And also, we're helping retailers drive more sales. The average partner we work with sees a 15% increase in revenue partnering with us. And so, like at its core, we're selling the best product in the world. We're selling revenue to our partners, and we're taking a small fee from every transaction.
Is it similar to like the Stripe 29 cents and it goes down with scale?
Exactly.
And is it like, help me understand, like, and you can use like cartoon example, what percent of that transaction fee goes to you versus the network, and if any, and what is defined as interchange? Is it the whole thing or just the part that goes to the network?
Yeah, so interchange is, there's multiple versions of interchange, right? In the traditional cards world, it goes to the issuing bank, it goes to the networks like a Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, it goes to the payment processors. Similarly, in our ecosystem, it's the same, except for instead of like private banks, we're working with government contractors and issuers. So sort of like it's a very good analog for the system, but essentially have similar economics and a similar model in a closed loop ecosystem.
Cool. And I want to double click on this idea that merchants who work with you see a 15% increase in revenue. Earlier you said Fiserv, 5% of the transactions drop. So if I have if I go from like 95% to 100%, that's like a little under, or a little over a 5% increase.
Yeah.
But 15%, where does the remaining 10% come from?
Yeah.
Like you're more than just an
API
with proper uptime.
Right, exactly. Even though that would be enough, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, for grocers, like our partner Albertsons does $70 billion a year. Like a 5% improvement in like transaction success for a $70 billion business is massive.
Yeah.
But the other things are like checkout conversion.
Yeah.
So we drive, compared to our competitors, we ran an A/B test. We drive 11% higher basket sizes. We drive.
How?
We use our API to show somebody's balance at the beginning of their shopping journey. So we say, hey, to start your shopping journey, use the Forage API. We're going to tell you you've got $197 left in EBT benefits. Consumers, as we know, are going to spend every single dollar because it's less than they even need to go through a month's worth of groceries, and use that to drive higher basket sizes. We have better checkout conversion.
So you actually own the client. You're more than an API.
Correct.
I see.
Correct.
Wow. So that's like actually the alpha. But like you can own the shopping experience.
Exactly.
For EBT people.
Exactly.
And now you're just doing like UX conversion.
Exactly. And honestly, we just announced we raised a Series B a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the future of where we're going as a company, right? So like, phase one of Forage was build the highest performing EBT payments solution. That's sort of like a point solution.
Yeah.
Where we're going is we want to build financial products for the 40 million plus American households that have been underserved and underbanked by America. And so, for example, do things like when EBT benefits run out in the back half of every month, give them actually like merchant-funded microloans to buy groceries. So when we say, hey, we noticed your EBT benefits ran out, can we give you $50 to go buy groceries for the rest of the month? Launching card products so people can start earning rewards on their regular grocery transactions, building credit, getting access to savings. I mean, there's basically an entire, population the size of Canada that is largely unbanked. No one is catering to. Even people like Chime are increasingly going up market, not serving this consumer. And we want to use sort of EBT as our wedge and all of our grocers as distribution to be able to go serve more financial products to more people. If we help you, if we're sort of the trusted partner that helps you put food on the table, what other problems are we well positioned to go and solve?
Yeah. What's that company, Propel?
Yes.
What do they do?
Propel is an amazing company started over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That started with solving a very unique problem, which was they learned that every EBT customer had to, in order to find their balance, they had to call the card at the back, call the number at the back of their card.
Yeah.
They built an API that actually went and like took your credentials and scraped the government website. And so I would take Dan Petkovich, get his credentials, his social security number, his date of birth, his case number.
Yeah.
Go to the state of California's website. And
I just want to say I kind of resent this example, but I get it. Yeah.
and go and find out what his balance is and then display that.
Yeah.
And they've got 5 million like monthly active users.
Yeah.
They're an amazing company.
Yeah.
I'm a proud investor. I worked with them when I launched EBT at Instacart years ago. I think you missed your turn.
No, we're taking a different path.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is this? I don't think I've ever taken this path.
Oh, you'll see.
Okay, cool.
Where does this path go?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get some great views here.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, does this take you around? Is this like what's the beach on the other side?
Muir Beach. This is gonna take us just to Pelican Inn, and then we're gonna take it to Muir Woods Road.
Dude, check out the birds. Look at that.
The dirt birds.
What is that?
Because they have this
Look at this.
Yeah, they get to hang out.
Dude, that's a falcon.
They get to hang out.
That might be a red-tailed hawk.
Yeah, it's like
that's an amazing.
It's like the spot where they can just no energy.
It's the thermals.
Yeah, that's a hot tub for a bird. You know.
Dude, I want to be a bird.
Yeah, your brain would be smaller. You wouldn't realize
that's probably
a bird.
that's good.
I don't know if
smaller
it's
brain, less anxiety.
But the thing is, I don't know if ignorance is bliss.
It is. It is. So I just started learning how to play tennis.
Yeah.
Which you know, because I'm still upset with you, by the way.
Why?
Because you told me that you're terrible at tennis, and then I'm actually terrible at tennis, and I played with you and totally embarrassed myself. But my biggest problem in tennis is I overthink.
Yeah, you can't think.
I actually think. Yeah. I actually think you're probably like better if we studied.
But birds don't play tennis either, just so you know.
I know, but they fly. But I'm willing to bet that there's a correlation between overthinkers and bad tennis players. I think you play better if you think less.
Here's what I'll say, and I'll say this as nice as I can. None of the great tennis players I've met, I would say, are guilty of overthinking.
Yeah. You're making my point.
Yeah. But I also think there's
which is why maybe you're terrible at tennis.
Which is why I could never be a great tennis player.
No, you're very good at tennis.
I think I don't know. I do think there's an amazing thing where you just practice enough and like the axons get myelinated and then you just do it without thinking, and you're completely right. I actually think less when I play tennis now than I was when I was a kid,
and you're probably better, having more fun, being in flow state.
I think I can improve faster in a weird way now. But
yeah, probably. Anyway. And there's probably some muscle memory in there. Where
you need the muscle memory because like when you're in the zone, you're not thinking about anything.
Yeah. But basically, every time I take a tennis lesson, I'm learning like what I've been doing wrong the whole time.
The great tennis players are not like, oh, I have a stroke now, let me take my racket back. You know, it's all just like.
But it is highly technical.
It's highly technical, which is why it can be an annoying game because if you reach a certain level and then you haven't played for a long time, you really need the reps.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful game. And
it's fun.
And,
it's fun.
Yeah.
I hate being bad at things.
Maybe they'll let us two Jews into the country club and we can play. It'll be amazing.
You for sure. You'll definitely get in.
Okay, so we were talking about Propel. They have like your client experience.
Yes.
Is it like kind of a competitor because you also have client experience?
So yes. I mean, partner, competitor. I mean, increasingly we're learning. So sort of again, like phase one is we built B2B2C payments infrastructure, right? Like we have this API, own the client, help businesses accept EBT food stamps online. Increasingly, so you see all this green material. Turns out this is called serpentinite.
Okay.
This might be like around Mountain Tam, but is actually is like a rare material, rare like geologic material built at like from post-volcanic
Really?
activity is like super cool. You see it in Mount Tam all the time, but like these like
what can you do with it?
these patches of
Serpentine?
yeah, these patches of green and purple, you see them all around. The natives used to think that it's like energetically powerful, so like a lot of people think that Mount Tam is holy or
Really?
spiritual significance. I don't know if that's true or not, but it is cool to look at.
Mount Tam definitely has an effect on the people around it, right? Like everyone sees it, everyone hangs out on it.
It does for me.
Yeah.
So. Same with, by the way, have you heard of forest bathing?
Just like hanging out. It's a Japanese thing.
Yeah, it's a Japanese thing, hanging out in a forest.
Yeah.
So there's a study, this immunologist, a Japanese immunologist like 20 years ago, conducted a study which is like, why do people feel more calm after they spent time in the forest?
Yeah.
And like took people to other places like the beach and like other relaxing places, and turns out trees emit this volatile called a phytosine or a phytokine.
Okay.
Cytokine. Is that what it's called?
I think it's a cytokine. It's a high school biochemistry.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a phytosine. There's also cytokines.
Oh, there's also cytokines.
Yeah, there's also cytokines.
Okay, then you're probably right.
Which is it's a volatile that trees emit, like actually to like fight fungus and things like that. And when inhaled, it actually like reduces your like anxiety, inflammation, all these sort of biomarkers. So turns out like when you go to the forest and hang out in Mount Tam and feel super relaxed, it's like it's more than just being relaxed. Yeah, there's actually like a scientific process that is happening.
Wow.
And that's probably why people in Mill Valley are super happy, is because there's a lot of trees, and every time I have friends or family visit, they always tell me like, I sleep better, I'm so relaxed, I feel so zen. There's actually like a scientific biological process happening, which is when you spend time around trees, and in particular redwoods, which are like, they emit very, very high levels of phytokines. Man, this thing rips. This thing's awesome.
Amazing.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
People like actually scientifically feel more relaxed.
So basically, if I'm getting this right, the business started as like a better API.
Yes.
But now your largest merchants are actually letting you own the client experience.
Yes.
In the app, and that's leading to more conversion.
And we're ultimately delivering them more revenue.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think raising these funds has allowed us to be more ambitious than we've ever been before, which is we think we've got a real right to power the entirety of this underserved demographics ability to do more than just their food budget.
So, and I'm like really impressed that you made these sales to some of the largest retailers in the United States, because I actually tried to do that at Fair Square. Like
By the way, it's my first time ever. So I come from like consumer marketplace.
Yeah.
I worked at Instacart. I worked at Uber. I sort of thought like you build great products and they sell themselves. Turns out they don't. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I'm proudest of is that, like, if you go to our website, joinforage.com, go to our logos, like, I'm incredibly proud to say that we work with Albertsons, Dollar General, CVS, Walgreens, Aldi, Instacart, Uber, DoorDash. Like, it is really hard, and increasingly when I talk to people in sales, like, this is amongst the hardest sector to break into.
How did you land your first three biggest? Because like I tried to land these guys. I think you had a much more compelling offer.
Yeah, I think a few things.
And like, how long was the sales cycle?
Yeah, so sales cycle takes forever, right? For impatient people like me, like forever, and everything takes longer in enterprise than you think. But like, 18 to 24 months on average. I'd say there's really three things for us.
Crazy.
There's three things for us that made this possible, which is one, like a once in a century, like modernization of regulation that like allowed a business like this to be started. Like the only moment that a Forage could have been started was like in that very, very, very brief window of time when we started it.
And it was like massive demand for EBT because of COVID.
Yeah. So,
crossed with like how bad Fiserv is.
and with a USDA has now allowed these for the first time in a century to be used online.
Yeah.
And so like very, very tiny window of the convergence of these three things. So that's sort of one. So massive, like timing is everything, massive timing and talent.
Yeah.
Two, biography.
Yeah.
Being able to say, hey, listen, I was the head of payments, I experienced this problem firsthand, like that really legitimized us and
because you were already working with some of these retailers.
Correct.
At Instacart.
Correct.
I think only you could have started this company.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that was also really important. So right moment, right sort of founder market fit. And then the last thing is I think it's constantly sort of like an act of getting one and then getting the next and getting the next. So for us, the really big first validation we got was partnering with Shopify, which Shopify appears like a really big brand and like seems like a really big logo, but in reality, our early partners were a bunch of teeny tiny micro brands that, mom and pop shops selling, novel goods online. And so it was like sort of leveraging the halo of the Shopify logo. We were the first and only, to this day, Shopify app that lets you accept EBT. So if you're accepting EBT online with Shopify, you're doing that with Forage. And then that allowed us to get the next logo and allowed us to get the next logo, and sort of all went from there. But we've grown something like 50x in the last 18 months. We're still in the very, very, very early innings, and a stat I learned at Instacart is in the world of grocery, I think something like the top 15 retailers made up like 80% of all the volume. So still the biggest, it's a heavily concentrated business, which is you could have hundreds of thousands of customers and still not be able to scratch beyond 10 or 15% of the market. To build a truly remarkable business in this space, you gotta win the Walmarts, the Dollar Generals, the Costcos, the Krogers, the Amazons, the Aldis, the Publix, the HEBs, Family Dollars, and the grocers that most Americans trust to be able to be their first destination to buy food from.
You also, from like an investor perspective, what a great business, right? Like the moats are fantastic. Like on the supply side, you have approval from the USDA.
Yeah.
On the demand side,
Yeah.
you have relationships with the biggest grocers in the United States.
Right.
These are extremely hard to get. And
on the consumer side, 40 million Americans, right? We're not creating a market. It's the U.S. government created it for 100 years.
is there a consumer app like the Reforge app where you can shop across all retailers?
Yeah, so there is a Forage app we just launched a few months ago.
Yeah.
And yes, we are going deeper. And V1 of the app is it's a savings and rewards app to go and identify where you can save money. So today, if you go to the Forage app, you'll see things like $20 off your grocery order at a certain retailer. You'll see deals and discounts from grocers like Amazon Fresh and 7-Eleven, our partners like GoPuff, Uber, and DoorDash. It is the customer we're serving is definitively the most cost-conscious customer in America. And so V1 for us is just, our objective is, hey, can we save you $10 a week in groceries? And if we do that, then over the course of a year, we've saved you over $500 in groceries in a year. And it turns out that's actually more than the average American has in their bank account. We think we can be like, in a top 10 finance app in the App Store if we can actually go and solve that problem.
The like tailwinds you have, like you could become one of the largest companies in the United States. Well, the bull case is something like government entitlement programs will increase significantly as AI puts everyone out of the job. and they'll be using Forage to give money to citizens. Like, how do you think about that future, other possible futures?
Yeah, so putting on my sort of tinfoil hat, I mean, so turns out there's two primary variables that are really closely correlated as inputs for EBT funding, and they're unemployment rate and inflation. So when unemployment rate goes up, more people go to EBT. When the cost of food goes up, EBT dollars increase to buy more food for people. It's still early, but AI could be one of the great revolutions in labor, not seen since the Industrial Revolution hundreds of years ago. And at the very least, there will be a displacement period where people are doing different jobs. And the jobs of tomorrow look very different than the jobs of today. And that's sort of like the AI optimist use case is, hey, we're going to enable more things. You no longer need people to do all sorts of like rote jobs today. For example, we talked about driverless cars. Today in the U.S., there's millions of people that their full-time job is to drive people around. That might get automated by people like Elon and Waymo that are using AI in the physical space to go and have robots and machines automate. There's also people are working on humanoid robots and AI to go and displace humans working in factories. At worst, there's sort of like a doom and gloom story of AI pessimists that think no one's going to have jobs anymore. It's going to come for all the white collar jobs. You're not going to need accountants, lawyers, software engineers because you can automate those things. You're not going to need designers. If you read Twitter, there's like super controversial debates right now about the things that can be automated with AI. If that were to happen, if there were even like a minor shift in labor participation in the US, it would have massive repercussions for EBT funding and might actually like spur the onset of things like UBI, where we might just get government programs that might run on rails like EBT, because EBT is the primary mechanism by which the American government gives people money to buy things they need, and they might want to restrict them. They might want to say, actually, like, we're going to give money to everyone, but we don't want you to go and spend that on, I don't know, drugs and alcohol. So we're going to go give people money to go buy things like food or education or housing or all these sorts of other things. It'll look a lot like the rails that Forage has built today. And again, like I choose to be an optimist. I don't know what the world is going to look like in the future, but we're still in relatively low by any standards, like unemployment rate, like historically low. We're still around 4% unemployment. So even if it were just to reverse to the mean and go closer to like the average in U.S. history over the last 50 years, get back to a 7% unemployment rate, I mean, we're looking at like really, really significant repercussions. And unlike other disruptions to labor, we might see a lot of white collar jobs get hit the hardest the soonest. I mean, we've seen just in the last year, places like Meta, Square, Microsoft, Coinbase. I mean, a ton of like great companies are having layoffs while they're also posting like record profits. And so increasingly, like businesses are going to do really, really well, and they're going to need fewer and fewer people to work at them. And so, yeah, there is a real chance that the labor market looks really different in 10 years than it does today.
You just have like a very believable bull case, which is you just take more share of EBT. You're in single digits.
Right.
Right. Like you get to 10%, you've 10x the company.
Right. You kind of it'd be hard to not imagine us sleepwalking into that as the base case.
Right. And then the bull case, I don't personally. My take is something like every time there's crazy new technology, everyone has all these like theories about how it's going to change the world and everyone's going to lose their job.
Right.
And like in the 50s, there were a bunch of people in buildings basically doing read and write processes of a database.
Yeah.
And we created databases.
Right.
There's still jobs. So, but that stuff is a little tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
But it could happen to some degree.
And people like Dario are spewing some of this, by the way.
But that's because that's how they get, like, The best way to market AI is to create fear around it.
Yeah.
Like super intellectualized fear. Like, oh, our model is so good, we got to pull it back.
But he's also said things like AI, he believes, is gonna like, I don't know, like 10x unemployment in America.
I don't buy it
Okay.
personally.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what do you think's gonna happen to labor with AI?
I think AI will make employees way more productive.
Okay.
I think, you look at these layoffs at Meta, and I'm like, you guys, these are easy to make because most people at Meta weren't working in the first place.
Right.
Like,
And they overhired.
yeah, like the joke. I think what is interesting now versus 5 years ago is that 5 years ago it was like people in startup are actually working,
Yeah.
and people at Meta and Google are just cruising.
Yeah.
And I think we are increasingly getting to the point where the people at Meta and Facebook or Google, I think they might actually be working as hard as a startup.
Yeah, you're right. I think we're gonna look back and be like, RIP. If you worked at Google
Yeah.
between like 2006 and 2020,
Yeah, that was the
like,
best you
That was
could
like the
ride.
golden era.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like you could go to the gym and
Yeah.
and get your masseuse
Yeah.
and get your barista's order and like hang out and work however many hours a day, and like you're. By the way, it's nice when you have a monopoly on search.
Yeah.
But you're right. It might be like that. That might have been the golden era, combined with ZERP, of like employee perks.
Yep.
And it just might not be that case anymore. But also, harkening back to our conversation about Stripe, is I do agree that if you make it easier to start businesses, people will start more businesses. And so what we might also see is it might be sort of like a cottage industry of, instead of like there's 10 mega tech companies in America that operate as oligarchies. Maybe there's like, I don't know, in 20 years, maybe there's like 1,000 companies that are all much smaller. There's just more smaller companies that require fewer people to operate them.
I hope you're right.
I'm probably wrong.
And the thing is, like, you just get scales with capital, and
By the way, I'm going to cancel my 1:30. This is too fun.
oh, you want to keep doing this?
No, well, I want to hang out with you. Why don't we go and
Let's go hang out.
let's get lunch.
Let's get lunch.
Yeah,
Where do you want to go? We could go back to Pelican Inn. We could go to the Depot.
Yeah, let's do that.
Depot, right?
Let's do Depot.
I'd love to do that.
Depot's so good.
I'd love to do that.
Dude, this is so fun. This is so fun.